Right now, your body is quietly rejecting the planet Earth. Think about the last time you woke up with a random, throbbing backache, or the last time you stepped outside into the summer sun and felt your skin begin to burn and blister within a single hour. To us, these are just the annoying, everyday flaws of being human. But to a growing number of evolutionary biologists and analysts, these aren't flaws at all. They are clues. Look closely at any native creature on this planet. The desert camel stores water for weeks. The deep sea fish thrives under pressure that would instantly crush solid steel. Every single animal, insect, and plant exists in a state of perfect harmony with Earth's environment. Except us. We cover ourselves in synthetic clothes just to survive the weather. We build artificial concrete shelters to hide from nature. We are the only species on Earth that is fundamentally allergic to the natural world. Why? Because a terrifying fringe theory suggests humanity didn't evolve here. We are an invasive species. We are living through a multi-millennial state of collective amnesia, marooned on a world we were never meant to call home, and the proof is written directly into your DNA. The first warning sign is structural, and it is hiding inside your skeleton. Ask any doctor, and they will tell you that the human spine is an absolute engineering disaster. By the time we hit middle age, an overwhelming majority of the global population suffers from chronic back pain, herniated discs, or scoliosis. Mainstream science claims this is simply the price we pay for walking upright on 2 legs instead of 4. But from an evolutionary standpoint, that explanation completely fails. Evolution is a brutal, hyper-efficient process. It does not permit a physical trait that cripples a species during its prime survival and reproductive years. No other primate on Earth experiences widespread spinal collapse just by standing up. A wild chimpanzee can sprint, climb, and leap for 30 years without ever slipping a disc. When you apply basic physics to human anatomy, a startling reality emerges. Our bone density, our vascular systems, and our joints behave as though they were designed for a planet with significantly lower gravity. If you placed a human being on a world with roughly 80% of Earth's gravitational pull, our chronic back pain would instantly vanish. The heavy, crushing downward force on our lower vertebrae would ease. Our hearts wouldn't have to work nearly as hard to pump blood upward. We walk across this earth with a heavy, exhausting gait because our biological blueprint belongs to a lighter world. And the mismatch only gets worse when you step out of the shadows and into the light of our own local star. Consider the sun. To every native creature on Earth, sunlight is pure vitality. Reptiles, birds, and mammals bask in the blinding midday glare for their entire lives without a single issue. Their fur, feathers, or thick hides protect them perfectly. Then, look at humans. We are completely bare, having shed our protective fur millions of years ago. Yet despite being hairless, we possess a fatal vulnerability to solar radiation. If you stand under a clear sky for just a few hours without protection, your skin will burn, degrade, and develop deadly cancers. To survive the very star that powers our solar system, we have to coat ourselves in chemical sunscreens and hide in the shade. Why would evolution strip us of our natural fur, only to leave our bare skin completely defenseless against our own sun? It wouldn't. Our bodies behave exactly like an organism that evolved under a completely different stellar classification. Perhaps a dimmer, gentler red dwarf star. Or a world wrapped in a hyper-thick atmospheric shield that filtered out the lethal ultraviolet spectrum. On Earth, the sun isn't our life-giver. It is a radioactive weapon we must constantly hide from. But the mystery cuts even deeper than our bones and skin. It is hardwired into the internal clockwork of our brains. Every living organism on Earth possesses a circadian rhythm. an internal biological clock that dictates when we sleep, when we wake, and when our hormones spike. For millions of years, this rhythm has been perfectly synchronized with the 24-hour rotation of the Earth. Except in humans. In the late 20th century, researchers began conducting radical isolation experiments. Volunteers were placed deep underground in completely sealed bunkers, entirely cut off from natural sunlight, clocks, or temperature changes. Left entirely to their own natural instincts, something extraordinary happened. The human subjects did not maintain a 24-hour cycle. Instead, their internal biological clocks naturally and consistently drifted to a 25-hour cycle. Think about that. You cannot evolve an internal rhythm that doesn't match the planet you were born on. This one-hour discrepancy is the reason the modern world suffers from a permanent epidemic of insomnia and exhaustion. We are living in a state of perpetual evolutionary jet lag. Somewhere deep within our ancestral memory, our cells are still keeping time with the rotation of our true origin planet, a world where the days are just slightly longer. Perhaps the most haunting piece of evidence lies in the very survival of our species, the brutal reality of childbirth. In the natural world, giving birth is a routine event. A mare or a lioness will slide away from the herd, give birth with minimal complication, and within minutes the newborn is standing up, running, and participating in its own survival. For humans, childbirth is a nightmare of biological errors. It is uniquely violent, exceptionally dangerous, and historically it has been a leading cause of death for both mothers and infants. The human infant's head is massive compared to the narrow pelvic opening of the mother, a structural bottleneck found nowhere else in nature. Because of this, human babies are born fundamentally unfinished. A newborn human is completely helpless, unable to support its own head or feed itself for months. Biologists call this evolutionary prematurity. If a human baby stayed in the womb long enough to develop the independence of a newborn deer, its head would grow too large, and it would kill the mother during birth. We are forced to give birth early just to survive. We are a species out of sync with our own reproduction, producing offspring completely unsuited for immediate survival in a wild world. If all these biological clues point to the same chilling conclusion, that we are an out-of-place species, then we are left with the ultimate question: how did we get here, and why don't we remember? The answer lies in an erased timeline. If humanity arrived on this planet hundreds of thousands of years ago, we didn't arrive empty-handed. Whether we were cosmic refugees fleeing a dying world, or a species placed here within a quarantined ecosystem, we would have possessed advanced technology. We had the tools, the architecture, and the energy sources to shield our fragile bodies from Earth's harsh gravity, brutal sun, and predatory wildlife. But history is not a straight line. It is a series of violent destruction cycles. Approximately 12,000 years ago, the Earth underwent a sudden, cataclysmic shift known as the Younger Dryas event. Rapidly melting ice sheets, global megafloods, and cosmic impacts utterly crushed the surface of the globe. In a matter of weeks, the high-tech habitats, the coastal cities, and the advanced infrastructure that kept our fragile ancestors safe were buried under miles of mud and ocean. The few humans who survived were stripped of their tools, their books, and their technology. They were thrust into a hostile, wild, primordial jungle, entirely unprepared. Within 2 generations, the technical knowledge of our true origins degraded into spoken stories. The stories degraded into myths of gods descending from the stars, and a lost paradise where humans felt no pain. Today, we look in the mirror and see a species plagued by chronic pain, blinded by the sun, and out of sync with the earth beneath our feet. We treat these flaws as the price of being human. But if you listen closely to the silent protests of your own body, you might finally realize the truth. We aren't the kings of this world. We are just the survivors of a forgotten shipwreck, trying to build a home on a planet that has been trying to reject us since the day we arrived.